got that audio slurring.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another video episode of Getting Cheesy with Van and Jeezy. I am Van.
And I'm Jeezy, baby.
We're trying some really weird things with our background effects here, so you can kind of see my hands coming in and out. So bear with us today.
We're using magic. Magic is our new ingredient for our show.
It's like taking and polishing a turd. It's a shiny turd, still a turd underneath.
All you need is magic to... I mean, all it took was, like, literally a million years and a lot of pressure, and I think that's how you turn a turd into a diamond.
Okay.
I don't know if that geologically checks out.
In my engineering opinion, I can say that's factual, yeah.
Hard segue. So the biggest news this week is that the NFL has picked up the Rooney Rule again. For those of you who don't know, this is a rule that exists to...
It never went away.
It always exists, but they picked it up and expanded on the Rooney Rule. This is what gives or incentivizes NFL teams to bring more leadership from minority groups to the NFL.
Well, it was a requirement, right? It was a requirement that if you were hiring a head coach, maybe it was offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, but definitely head coach, probably GM. You had to interview at least one minority candidate.
So this was definitely the biggest news of the week, but we didn't want to get too political, didn't want to go down that road today, but...
We will state the facts only.
We are reporting the facts. They have now expanded it to include all coaching positions must have at least one candidate of minority background.
Well, there's one more part to it, too. There's certain incentives that are proposed in terms of additional draft picks. I don't remember all of them, but there's some incentives to that.
Yeah, so there's a variable amount of draft pick slots in the third round that come as a benefit of hiring a minority leadership position.
So I wonder if they're going to expand the third round of the draft, or they're going to have less free agent compensatory picks. I'm not sure.
But, yeah, so that was not clear to me either, and I wasn't sure, like, based on what I'm reading, I wasn't sure if this is already happened or if this is the proposal that's waiting to be passed.
I believe it passed, but I can't speak with 100% certainty.
This is what's at least up for discussion. I believe the spots for requiring everyone to get an opportunity is permanent, and then the draft picks I think are still under review, but don't quote me on that.
Those are the facts. Those are the facts and just the facts.
Those are the near facts and just the near facts.
That's probably the most factual thing we've reported on this show. Hard segue. We're all about hard segues today. The NFL is looking into potentially having modified helmets that include COVID-19 approved face masks.
I saw that. And so Oakley makes some of the face mask components.
The shields. Yeah,
the shields. Yeah. So I heard that they're considering making those shields for everybody. But what I want to know is, it's just a translucent thing. Can we start printing, like, robot eyes on it and stuff? I mean, can we at least have some fun with this?
I mean, how long before we start, like, having straight up advertisements on players' face masks, right? Like, but I'm reading this, and it says, it's a Yahoo article here. It says the league's bioengineers are testing prototypes with Oakley. They're looking at every issue, including when the masks fog up. Now, for instance, they got at my work, in my test lab, they gave us all anti-fog glasses because, safety glasses. And they don't fog, they just get wet from my breath. But they're also saying in this article that they could use N95 or surgical grade materials and could cover the full area behind a typical helmet face guard. That's going to be fucking hot.
It is. It is. They're going to need more oxygen on the sideline.
You are a professional athlete who is trained to do this at a high level, and now you're going to restrict airflow, and it's going to be fucking hot. Too hot.
If Tom Hardy can do it as Bane, maybe all of our professional athletes can do it too.
Gotham is mine, Batman.
Could you imagine the mic'd up? Everybody sounds like Bane.
Oh, that'd be awesome. All right, everybody. That was what was new this week.
And now I'm cheesing my way back to you, Van, with a burning cheese inside. Time for Packers.
Specifically, Aaron Rodgers, who had probably his longest press conference here with the media, like 40 minutes long, after the first time he's spoken publicly, I guess, about this whole Jordan Love draft pick here. So we kind of wanted to go over that. So that's pretty neat. Basically, what Aaron Rodgers is, the way I took it was that he is, as he always is, an eternal realist. Right, he is 100% down to earth, basically constantly. So he said something along the lines of, I wasn't thrilled with the pick, I was surprised by it, but I understand the team's direction to plan for the future, and I respect that. So those are big words.
The big thing that I read from this article was Aaron Rodgers accepts that he might not finish his career in Green Bay. I mean, that to me is the line that I felt the dagger in my heart at that moment.
Well, Aaron Rodgers isn't leaving Green Bay unless we tell him he has to leave Green Bay, right? Like with everybody says, well, the Favre thing, but it was similar but different because Favre waffled for so many years. Aaron Rodgers has been clear about saying, I would love to finish my career here.
That's true.
That
is true, but I mean, there are many greats out there who didn't. Peyton Manning is one in recent history who wanted to finish with the Colts, ends up winning that late career Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos. We see something like that. Tom Brady at essentially Aaron Rodgers' Aaron Rodgers' age now, they pick up Jimmy Garoppolo, who was expected to be a stud out there, is the opposite side of that coin, where they draft someone to replace Brady in his late 30s, and Brady plays well enough, outperforms him long enough, that they're like, you know what, we're going to trade and wait. So
entirely possible, yeah.
There's two sides of this coin. We've seen both stories in recent history.
Yeah. Well, so Rodgers' quote here is he says, my sincere desire to start and finish with the same organization, just as it has been with many other players over the years, may not be a reality at this point. And as much as I understand the organization's future outlook and wanting to make sure they're thinking about the team now and down the line, and I respect that, at the same time, I still believe in myself and I have a strong desire to play into my 40s. I'm not just sure how all that works together at this point. So
that was the dagger sentence right there to me.
I don't know. I mean, there is a large part of me that knows in my heart somewhere that he'll finish his career elsewhere, but this is Aaron Rodgers' team. It's his team to lose, I guess is what I'm saying. And I don't see him losing it.
Look, he's just got to... So the one thing I'll say that is 100% Aaron Rodgers is when he got drafted below Alex Smith, he played with a chip on his shoulder, played some of the best football ever. Not of this era, not of the last decade. He played some of the best football ever.
Think about it too, though. Had Aaron Rodgers is the first round pick. Had he sat on the bench or in practice just shit the bed as a first round pick behind Favre, you wouldn't have put him in. You wouldn't have, you would have dealt with the Favre mania for another year, right? Let's say this Jordan Love kid starts lighting up in practice. Same thing, If he's ready, he's ready. I don't know. To me, this is still Aaron Rodgers' team to lose. I still don't think...
I mean, you're 100% right about that, but the one thing I will say, first, I do not think Jordan Love is going to be a bust. I don't expect that. If he's not playing with the Packers, he's going to be a good bargaining chip. But what I will say is Rodgers playing with a chip on his shoulder is the way that he plays best.
It's the most dangerous version of Rodgers there is.
And I think he is going to be the most healthy he's been in quite a while starting this 2020 season.
He did mention that he's had time to sit at home and get his body together, do some different training and things like that. So
I'm excited. there's two sides of this coin. I mean, actually, Tom Brady saw both sides of it officially now. He was the old quarterback who outperformed the young buck, lasted a few years, and then was the super old quarterback that gets traded away. So he's in Tampa Bay. So we'll see where this lands with Rodgers, but I agree. It's his team to lose.
Yep. A couple last things here. Rodgers, again, and all this is typical classy Rodgers fashion, right? Rodgers comes out and has some pretty makes a pretty big statement about the current wide receiver room, saying he's got a ton of faith in Allen Lazard, MVS. So that was great. Again, I think this wide receiver room also has a chip on their shoulder that they are basically saying, listen, don't count us out. We don't suck. We didn't need to draft another wide receiver. And the last thing here that I want to briefly mention is Brett Favre once again weighs in, kind of stirs the part with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, basically. Brett Favre says Aaron's job is not to mentor Jordan Love. Aaron's job is to win football games for the Green Bay Packers. That's what he's paid to do, and that's what he's going to do. Now that sounds like a harsh statement. When you think about it, it's 100% true, right? It's up to Jordan Love to make his career what it's going to be. And Aaron Rodgers said another very Aaron Rodgers thing in his press conference, saying that Jordan Love didn't ask to be drafted by the Packers. Like why all the hate? Like in my statement after that is why all the hate? Why all the people losing their minds about it? Right? Like he is just a kid getting a great opportunity to play in the National Football League behind one of the greatest to ever play it. He's got a great opportunity to learn and be an excellent player someday. So
I couldn't say it better. I think this is a huge opportunity. I think Favre's remarks are pretty funny, given that, he says he tried to help Aaron Rodgers, but from what I remember at that time,
he was an asshole.
He was a dick. I mean, he was a bad man about it. So I think it's funny. I think Rodgers will obviously be more classy than that. And if a transition happens, Aaron will be as classy as he's always been. But to your point, it's his team to lose. And to my point, he plays with that chip on his shoulder to win.
That's exactly right. Hard segue. This is, once again, the gossip section where we just go over some weird shit that happens in the NFL. And trust me, it does all the time.
All the time.
The one that came out this week, and shame on me for going back to the TMZ well.
You mean congratulations to you for going back to the TMZ well? Be proud of yourself.
Title. LeBron James. I know, he's an NBA player, right? Like basketball player. What are you talking about him for? LeBron James. I trained for the NFL. I trained for an NFL career in 2011, and Dallas offered me a contract. What? No, actually not even that crazy, right? I've seen this before. I've recalled this before. LeBron James, coming out of high school, was like the best prospect out of Ohio, right?
Definitely.
I've actually got a little clipping here, right, from some newspaper. LeBron James, in high school, 6'8", 232, and ran a 4.6. That's ridiculous. It says the number one football prospect in the state of Ohio probably won't be playing football much longer. Of course, he's talking about LeBron James, who is also the nation's premier basketball player, and it says that he's a taller, slower version of Randy Moss. It says what was on film was a ball player ready-made for the NFL game at the wide receiver position, huge hands, runs tremendous routes, can leap over any defender, and surprising speed for a big guy. As a junior, he got 57 receptions, 1,160 yards, and 16 touchdowns.
I saw a post on social media that said LeBron. It had a picture of this clip from the old Ohio newspaper and said, confirmed, LeBron James definitely made in a laboratory.
I mean, for real, he's a freak of a human being. And if you remember, too, okay, so this all goes back to that 2011 NBA lockout. And if you remember, LeBron James and Kevin Durant had a football, like flag football classic game here, where LeBron James' team won 73-63. And so that's a big thing, right? But during that lockout, TMZ says, he legitimately started changing his workout regimen to be an NFL type regimen, right? It says that he, started doing more 40-yard dashes, bench pressing, sled pushing, all those typical NFL style, drills and workouts. I guess Jerry Jones offered him a contract. Now, I haven't been able to find any details of what the contract would have been or whatever.
Apparently, LeBron James has it framed in his home.
That's awesome. I mean, that's. I want to see it. I want to see a picture of this.
I'd like to see it too. My favorite line from the TMZ well here is the very first line. Tony Romo, touchdown pass to LeBron James. I mean, it could have been. LeBron's 6'9", 250. That's a big dude.
That would have been the greatest show on turf. Sorry, Rams.
That would have been insane.
That would have been the greatest show on turf. And I think I had read somewhere he was getting interest from like Notre Dame and Ohio State and, How old is he now?
That's a good question.
Is it too old for LeBron James to have a career change?
I would feel better if he were going in the opposite direction.
I feel like basketball is not physical enough of a sport to where, he's not taking he's not taking body hits every day, right? He's not getting.
He's 35.
Okay, fine. Like he's not getting hit by wide receivers. He's still a huge dude. Like he's not getting hit by like defensive backs. His body's probably in pretty good football shape.
I'm sure he could go out there and handle his own. Now, if I were LeBron James and I was 35 years old,
hypothetical.
There is no way. There's no way. It's not even a kind of. I'm surprised that it was a kind of in 2011.
Hypothetical.
Go ahead.
Somehow we get all kinds of cap space. LeBron says, I'll play for the Packers. Would you take it?
Shit, yeah, are you kidding me? That would be a circus that I could not miss out on.
It'd be awesome.
That would be the best thing.
We just win every game.
I would love to see that. Honestly, I would love to see that.
As long as he's not one of those guys that would end up being slower in pads, but you never know. It is what it is. What could have been LeBron James being an NFL star.
It's the stuff dreams are made out of.
Instead, he had to play in the biggest joke of a league there is, the NBA.
Speaking of dreams, though, LeBron says he dreams about playing in NFL football all the time. He's seen himself in the locker room and on the sidelines, but he never in his dreams makes it onto the field. Just a little side note.
Interesting. We need to get ourselves a psychic here to interpret those dreams.
Maybe tarot cards?
As if they weren't clear enough.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to our whole show. You've been listening to Getting Cheesy with Van and Jeezy.
I'm Van.
And I'm Jeezy.
You should know by now where we are. Everywhere, anywhere. SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook. Not Instagram yet. Twitter, cheesypodcast.com. The cheese line, 980-224-3399. You should
hit that up. And special request, I'm gonna make this request for the next couple of weeks. Everyone's at home. Everyone's, looking for new stuff. If you could, please write us a review on Apple Podcasts. That'll make the biggest impact for our show. Or
Facebook. Yeah.
Or Facebook. I was going to say, if you prefer social media, then make it on Facebook. Love your recommendations. If you love the show, it makes a huge difference to us. It means the world, and we would really appreciate it.
Yes, we would.
Apple Podcasts and Facebook. Or Facebook and Apple Podcasts. Or both.
Why not both?
Why not both? We would really appreciate it, and we'll shout you out on the next show.
Of course we will. Adios, everyone.
Adios.